Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 305, The Value of Community. Well, hello. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited today. First of all, I just got off of a 2.5-day retreat with some amazing clients who happened to have a late flight. And so they came back to my house and I asked them if they wanted to record this week's podcast episode with me. And they so generously said yes. So I am actually sitting here with Deborah and Julie. You guys can say hi.
Hi.
So they just got to watch me record the intro and the episode name and everything. And I think that made them laugh.
Oh, totally. Hello.
It's so fun. So this week's episode, we wanted to talk about the value of community. And, I've had various coaching programs over the years, and I know that women need to hear other women's stories so they don't feel so alone. And there's so much healing and growth when you are connected with other women who have the exact same struggles as y'all do with overdrinking. And when you share your stories, you get to heal that within yourselves. You can get coaching on that so you can get support with moving on. And then the other women get to hear your story too and not feel so alone in this journey. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. These women in particular took part in a very small group coaching program with only 8 other people called Transformation. And we met every Sunday for the past 5 months. And we still have a few weeks left, but it was a 6-month coaching program, which included an in-person retreat at the end of the 6 months. So that's what we just did. We just spent 2.5 days together, or a day and a half together. And we did all of Angela's favorite things.
Yes.
Forest bathing, sound therapy, long hikes in the woods, breath work sessions, coaching. There were some tears. Lots of fun, though. And we just all really connected, didn't we?
Absolutely.
We did.
Yeah.
We really did.
And this morning, our last exercise was I asked them to be vulnerable and do a little writing exercise, sharing their most sort of painful moment around their story with alcohol. And then we all shared it with each other. And that was quite something, wasn't it?
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you might consider doing this for yourself in the future, but thinking about that and looking at it and owning that and taking responsibility for that is very helpful, because a lot of times with the over drinking and the issue with addiction is that we forget that stuff and we're like, oh, just one won't hurt. And then, we get ourselves in these very tricky situations. So it was a beautiful exercise of everybody coming together and sharing. And I think not feeling so alone about some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. So Julie, who's been with me for a little while. How long?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Yeah.
At
So
least.
she found me through the podcast. And Julie, why don't you share what kind of resonated with you the first episode that you listened to?
Yes. So the very first episode I listened to was because I did a Google search. I'll never forget. I was standing in my garage. I was living alone for the first time in 27 years, and I was over drinking wine. And I said, there's got to be a better way. So I Googled. I'd been trying to cut down on my own, which was almost it was hard. And I Googled, how to stop drinking wine or something, and a bunch of things came up. But what resonated with me was stop over drinking and start living. Those things were so key. It wasn't just judgmental, like how to stop drinking wine, period. So I opened it. It was free. I opened the podcast and I listened to that episode. It was, episode 59. And it happened to be a a coaching call that Angela had asked her clients permission to record and use on the podcast. So what absolutely blew me away was first Angela just sounding so non-judgmental, and so, her intro was all about what we are and who we are and why we're doing this program. And then she started saying, "Oh, hi, so and so. It's good to see you." So she was looking at her list of people that had logged in on the Zoom call, and I just stood there going, "Oh my gosh, there's other women out there. I'm hearing their voices, and Angela's knows them." And that was just overwhelming to me to know and hear voices of other people that were going through what I was going through. And so I looked, of course, went on the website, looked at more, I reached out to Angela to get involved in her Stop Over Drinking, Start Living program, which has kind of morphed into Live AF and then this small group. And I was just so, and I will say it wasn't overnight for me. I always tell people it was like turning a ship, and little steps, baby steps, progress. I have to really give myself permission to celebrate the little wins, because for me, that's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's my takeaway
Yeah.
is the community.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't looking for new friends, and I have a wonderful family and friends, but even if you tell them, yeah, I'm over drinking, the reaction is, well, I don't think you do, or what do you mean? Do you have a problem? Then they start worrying about you. This community is non-judgmental, relates, supports each other in a way that you just can't duplicate anywhere else.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night, I think,
Mm-hmm.
at dinner, and how we are much more willing to share with strangers, who we trust, like through the community of the programs and things. And we've gotten to know each other so well over these last few months, and be vulnerable with those, because there's no baggage with us, right? We can just show up and present ourselves exactly who we are, without all of the baggage that we have with family members or history with long-term friendships. And like what Julie was saying, worrying about what other people are going to think about us. We don't have that here, because we're here all for the same reason. And that is to get better and to like improve our relationship with alcohol, ultimately improve the relationship with ourselves. But Deborah, when you first came in, what did you notice about the community aspect of it?
That everybody was in the same boat. Whether you had adult kids or little kids. I think lately you've attracted a lot of empty nesters.
Yes. Or no kids ever.
Yeah. So there's a lot of boredom out there. But even just the thing about waking up at 3 a.m. and saying, okay, I'm not going to drink. And then the next day, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Let's go have a glass of wine. That kind of thing, that you're definitely not alone and there's other people. And then today, when we did the exercise, those of us that have kids of all ages, it was kind of built around the shame, not the shame. You don't want your kids to be ashamed of you, or you
it's okay.
miss out on, did you miss out on, their toddler years because you were drinking too much? And they're not going to remember that, thank God. But it's, have your adult child say, are you an alcoholic? Because you're reaching out for help. It just, so you can talk that over with the community and maybe commiserate, but get support, and, oh yeah, we're in the same boat,
Yeah, it's like being able to share it, I think, is so important. We lock this stuff inside so much. Like even with my own drinking in the past, like nobody really understands the struggle unless they are really into it. It's such an internal struggle, right? The shame that you feel, the regret, the disappointment in yourself that you feel. It's not like we're verbalizing that to our spouses or our best friends. And it's hard to even admit out loud that you're doing that to yourself, let alone to the people that you care about. So when you hear other people share that, it just gives you permission that you can maybe share yours a little bit. And when you share, it helps you heal, right? Instead of keeping this, it's so stigmatized and it's such a shameful thing, especially for women. Like there's something wrong with you if you overdrink or you struggle with alcohol use disorder. And it's a human condition, right? We're all programmed to get addicted to things, and there really shouldn't be any stigma, but there is. And we don't want people to think bad things about us. So we hold back that internal struggle that we all face. And so when you're around people who are sharing that struggle, it's like, oh, okay, I can work on this. I can heal from this. I'm not broken. I am not the only one. And when you shine some light on it, then you can work on it more. But when you keep it hidden inside of yourself, you're not connecting with other people over it. It's very, very hard. And you need community. Yes. You know, I wasn't able to do this on my own. I needed to have a professional help me do that. I'm so happy that I was smart enough to recognize that. Do you guys want to talk about that?
Well, I saw counselors 10, 12 years ago. I've tried other coaching programs that weren't focused on alcohol. So it's not only just, it is the community, and it's also somebody specializing in alcohol. But I really needed that guidance. Although these other people most of them were, life coaches, they didn't specialize in the alcohol. And then adding the peers that aren't judging you, because I couldn't go to my camping buddies and talk about how much we drink.
Yeah, it doesn't feel safe to talk
no,
about that, right?
Absolutely not.
Especially with other people that are drinking. Maybe you have family members or friends or coworkers that are also drinking with you. You're not going to go, most people don't go to them and pour their heart out about it, because we worry so much about what other people think of us. And then we think their friends might worry that you're going to monitor their drinking now. So it's complicated. And so to have a space that's safe to put it all out there, I think is really important.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And one thing in this journey, in this program with Angela, is for the first time, it's not shame-based. It's not, oh, I had an overdrink, I'm going to beat myself up for 2 days. The first day I'll feel crappy, and so I won't drink. And then the next day I'll feel bad because I want another drink. It's all, for the first time, having a curiosity about it. And let's journal about that. And, we always say we learn from our mistakes, but this, having a curiosity about it and not judging yourself or shaming yourself, is really made a difference to me.
And it could take 5 times. It could take 5 years. I was with Angela in late 20 to early 21. And then I've come back and had things in between. And I commented in an email a couple months ago, oh, I wish I would have stayed in 21, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, you're here now. And that's definitely what didn't work. So leaving didn't work, or going or trying another coach, that didn't work. Now I'm here after evaluation, and I just looked at it as failing, that I couldn't follow the workbook, or I couldn't kick it with another coach or something like that. And so that takes out the shame, but it's very easy to berate yourself because something didn't work.
Yeah, we want to point fingers like we did something wrong, but I think what they're talking about is, I talk about evaluating your overdrinks, right? So if you're in a live AF or if you're a private client, you have worksheets that you have access, or the transformation program, you have worksheets that help you evaluate what happened, what worked, what didn't work, what can you do differently next time. And that's what Deborah's talking about. So, Deborah came back in with feeling shameful and like beating herself up that she quit the program. But instead we shifted like, okay, so what did we learn about that time that you stepped away? Was leaving before you were ready to leave didn't work for you, right? Thinking you could do it on your own didn't work for you, right? Whatever that was, not that you did something wrong, just those actions that you made, those decisions that you made are part of the segment of what didn't work. Okay. And then we understand that a little bit better. And now we look at, okay, what can we do differently going forward instead of staying in the past and shaming yourself on what you did wrong? That doesn't actually move us forward. Does that help
Absolutely.
explain
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes.
And so when you do that with a space and a community, you feel better about yourself. And when you feel better, you do better.
Yep.
And so you cut down on those longer binges and things like that, where you get caught up in the cycle. It's like, say the start again on Mondays or the start again on January 1st. It's like you recognize you went off track, you do the evaluation, you reduce the shame cycle, and you learn something, and then you just get back on it faster. And then when you do that over and over again, you reduce how much you're drinking significantly, even if you're not perfect.
Yep.
Yes. And we have that even in this program. I had an overdrink about a month ago, and just the next day was a coaching call, and we didn't even talk about it on the coaching call because we were focusing on other things. But I did my plan. I knew, I evaluated. I knew have learned exactly what my triggers were, and then where to look for them the next
how
time.
to plan for them, how to protect yourself from when you're in a similar situation, right?
And you didn't say, oh my God, I can't believe you went over and had a bottle of wine. It was like, okay, what did you learn? And I volunteered that. I learned this and this, and I can't do this, and doing this triggered this. So
and learning how to set yourself up for success.
Yes. Yep. Like when you get to know your patterns, right? We all have the patterns, like, the triggers, like when you're tired and exhausted and you don't have a plan and you're not intentional, we're susceptible to our primitive brain's bullshit, right? To seek pleasure and avoid pain. So recognizing whatever that means for you, like what feeling state are you in? What is your schedule like? Are you running around crazy, or have you not taken care of yourself? You're susceptible, right? To like wanting that quick hit of pleasure that you give yourself. And so that's kind of what we looked at. It was like, so we know that not being intentional and thinking ahead through those kind of days is what you need to focus on. That's what you learn. You have to go through it to learn that sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I never had any intentionality with my drinking. It was just like, well, this party's coming, so we're going to be drinking. I for the first time learned how to attend social functions with a plan not to drink. And that's kind of a turning point. Not that I'm a big social drinker. In fact, many of my friends don't think I have an overdrinking problem because a lot of my overdrinks are when I'm alone. And because I'm often driving, or, I'm by myself, so I do often drive to everything from book club to parties or whatever. So I never do it overdrink there. So there's just so many different faces of what our challenges, but there's commonality in all of us.
Absolutely. And then we can meet, or in Live AF, go on the Facebook page and, oh, this is what happened. And then people are like, I had that happen last week, or,
have you tried this, or have you thought about doing it this way? And this is what I've learned from these types of situations. The community is so important. And I think too, like as far as like the addiction goes, it's hard to decipher your own thoughts. Like what is me and what is the addiction? And when you're addicted, which everybody who overdrinks is, it's like not something that we should shy away from saying, because if it's hard for you to stop, it means you're addicted. Plain and simple. If you can, even if it's just having one or two extra, if that is hard for you to do, there's an addiction component there. And so when you're addicted, it's really hard to do that on your own.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get frustrated with that because we're so successful in so many other areas of our lives, especially the people in these programs are just like super high achievers, do a lot of things, have done a lot of big things, have overcome a lot of challenges, and they get so frustrated with themselves that they can't kick this or they can't figure it out. And there's so much shame about it because they present so well on the outside. And so that also holds people back from asking for help because they think that they should be able to figure it out on their own. And when you're addicted, it's really hard to do that. So finding a community that you can trust and open up into is, I think, just so important. I didn't have like a real live community when I was doing this, but there was a community and I could go in and get coaching and talk about it. And I was paying for the resources and I was dedicated to figuring it out. But now I'm glad that I have the space where people can come in and share from all ages and walks of life and all of it. Yeah. What else?
I think that's all I had to share. Yeah.
I think my experience with the word addiction, it's still to me kind of negative,
Mm-hmm.
and I suppose that nobody wants a label.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that said, I'm not running away from any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But what really resonated with me with your program, Angela, was that it emphasizes changing your relationship
Mm-hmm.
with alcohol, whether you never drink again or you get to that point or you seriously change your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
To where I jokingly say, I don't want it to be my best friend and only companion.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Somebody I see once a month, or I don't know. There's no quantifying it
Right.
for
We were
me.
talking about it last night when they were saying, somebody was saying, they asked their friend about what they like about the drinking. They're like, oh, it's an emotional experience I have with my wine and hearing the cork pop and all this like, beautiful language that they had to describe. That's a relationship that you have with it, right? There's an emotional attachment to it. Whether maybe that's a better word than saying for addiction, if that lands maybe with you have an emotional attachment to it, right?
And then there were 7 women's eye rolling,
Mm-hmm.
at the
Yes, there was.
It's like, really? Okay.
But that's something that I probably would have said when I was in that cycle, for sure.
Oh, I think I said that this morning about drinking, open the bottle and the effervescence and the cool on my tongue, and it was like,
right. Yep. Yeah.
I think the other thing about the term addiction is you, Angela, are very specific about who you can help, and there's that issue. And I know you say this in all your whatever podcasts and about like if you're to the point where you will go through withdrawal or all of that. And I'm a medical person, so that to me, and I've had family members go through interventions and that, and it's to me that's just me. Maybe that addiction kind of goes with that whole scenario.
Absolutely.
And that's not what SODSL or Live AF is about.
Well, it's the alcohol is addicting.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so
because
it's addicting, you're changing your relationship with alcohol.
Right.
And that's what my daughter, when I was telling my daughter about this program, she said, well, are you an alcoholic? No, I just don't like my relationship with alcohol. I don't like stopping someplace and drinking a bottle every night.
Yeah.
I need to change that, whether it's quitting or, a bottle all throughout the week or whatever it is, but I need to change the relationship because the alcohol is addicting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that relationship that you had wasn't working for you.
Right.
So it's like improving any relationship. If it's not working for you, you're able, like you all know listening to this, if it's working for you or not.
Right.
You're the best judge of that. So for you, that wasn't working for you. So you wanted to improve that, right? For Julie, it was not working for her. So she wanted to improve it. Whatever that means doesn't really matter. And you go on a journey to figure that out through trial and error and through trying things and learning things. And really what it comes down to is improving the relationship with yourself, because most of us are not giving ourselves the attention and the quality care that we need. We overwork, we overschedule, we run around, we're crazy, we're doing all the things for all the people, and we don't put ourselves on that list. And so then alcohol becomes the relationship.
Yeah.
the something that gives us fun, that gives us pleasure.
That
We put
numbs
too
us
much
out.
into it. So it's really about finding that love within yourself and paying attention to yourself. And when you do that and take good care of yourself, the drinking will cut back and you won't need it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the transformation program is, coming to a close, and you guys will probably send me emails about it after this. But the good news is I'm actually bringing back the original Stop Over Drinking and Start Living coaching program, which is what Julie and Deborah first came in through. And that's my small group, high touch group coaching program with multiple calls and resources and things. So you guys need to sign up for the How to Enjoy the Holidays Without Overdrinking Masterclass, which is next week. And I'll be announcing all of the details about that. That program will start January 1st, but there's going to be early bird discounts and all sorts of fun bonuses for people who sign up now and get ready to kick it off with me. And Coach Steph will be equally leading the charge on that program. So I'm really excited about that. That program changed a lot of people's lives, and we use those materials in the transformation program. It's a deeper dive into things with workbooks and videos and more calls and stuff. So I'm really happy to be bringing that in a little bit of a different version back for people to get into for the start of 2025.
2025.
And I believe-
Is that
I
not crazy?
I know.
40-year anniversary.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I will
time.
say, whatever iteration
Mhm.
Angela's programs are, I sound like a commercial maybe, but the basis of it is a community. That you're not alone.
Right.
Yeah, even in
Right.
private coaching, you get access to resources that the community has access to and workshops and things like that, so you can understand more. You can work on this in isolation, of course, with one-on-one, but talking about your own stuff ad nauseum too can kind of you can get caught up in your own stories a lot, but then it helps you have perspective and zoom out a little bit when you can hear from other people as well. Yeah. So that's what I have to say about community. It's amazing. And look at these relationships that we just,
Yeah.
we just made friends.
6, 7 new friends. I couldn't believe it.
From all over the country.
Yeah.
Washington State,
Yeah.
Florida, New York, Minnesota. It was absolutely amazing. So, and they've all come very, very far. I'm very proud.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
very
you,
welcome.
Angela.
Thank you guys for coming on the podcast. Do you have any final thoughts or comments you feel like they need to know?
Sign up after the masterclass.
Yeah.
You will not be disappointed.
Yay.
And expect to work. That's the other thing, the work.
Yeah.
That was one of my first questions to you when I came back.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck does it mean to do the work?
I remember when you asked me that.
And that might be a good, maybe you've done a podcast on that but expect to do the work, and just, it won't come by osmosis.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I learned, because other things I tried to do by osmosis.
Yes. Just joining the program isn't going to do it, right?
It didn't.
Just listening to the coaching calls isn't going to do it. It does help you feel better. It will improve and reduce your shame that you have around, just like listening to this podcast, right? You recognize you're not alone. It helps you understand your situation and what's going on for you more. But until you actually apply what we're teaching you and do the work, do that internal work that helps you understand why you're drinking, why you're using alcohol, right? That is the deeper work. And that's what's available in any of my programs. But it's the people who are dedicated to doing that work, even when it feels boring or unimportant. Those are the people, like in this transformation group, that get to have the transformations that they want, are the people willing to do that, even when they don't feel like it. And to reach out for help. I think that's really important. When you're struggling, you have an overdrink, and you're like, I don't feel like doing it. That's when you have to recognize to raise your hand and say, help me get back on track. Help me see what I'm not seeing here, because I'm struggling. And the people that are willing to do that will go on to succeed. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that said, don't worry if you're not doing it perfectly. I've seen more than one of these badass, successful, highly educated, highly motivated women just dive in with both feet, do all the things for the first few weeks or a month, and then they can't sustain it, which who could,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to do B or C work.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quit.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
be
true.
hard on yourself if you're not,
Yep.
Yes.
because I think we all have tendencies to that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's
Start
probably another
strong.
reason why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why I
Because
say,
we have to do it perfect,
Yep.
and then if we don't, we beat ourselves up.
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
So don't worry if you're like me and you're a ship that turns slowly.
I love that. Yeah. Small 1 degree turns. You'll get there, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
All
Just
right.
think of it, the Titanic
Yes.
was able to.
Shift just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm not the Titanic. I'm not
You're
going
not.
down.
No, you're not. You're
Good
just
job,
starting.
Good job. Yeah.
All right, friends. Thank you so much. Sign up for the masterclass. All of the links will be in the show notes, and we will talk next week. Bye.